Good day, everybody. Good day. I want to go ahead and I want to make this video real quick, short, sweet, to the point. Because as I said, I'm going to start breaking some things down. And besides, I'm already working on some things. So why not show you guys what I'm working on? Okay, one of my guide posts is Law Cornell. Look it up. Very informative. You guys know this is my go-to. I find a lot of my resources because, like I say, I cut out the middleman and I go straight to the source. So our primary sources is going to be the Constitution, the U.S. Code, CFR. Now, I'm not about to go through and read all of these things for you. Hopefully, you know how to read, and if you don't, go get somebody that can comprehend and read for you, okay, to break this down, because we're going to try to make this short and sweet, okay? I have other things to do, not trying to be rude, but it is what it is. Okay, another thing, since we're going to state a claim, we have to build up some evidence. And in order to build up some evidence, we need to start with due process. So due process is just going to be putting these people on notice, okay? And that's going to be validate, letter to cure, default, and then you're going to go into your case. Nothing more, nothing less. So people, they're always asking me about what is an affidavit? How do you write an affidavit? Is there a template for an affidavit? Let's just keep this easy, simple, okay? An affidavit is going to be a written document. Oh, before I go there, let me see. My bad, you guys. This here at Wix, however you want to pronounce it, you can go and you can browse, all legal definitions, okay? Because you must understand, in law and in business, we speak legalese. So therefore, civilian, talk lingo is totally different from what we're talking about. It's all a word game, okay? So this is one of your guideposts that you do want to go to, okay? And that's where I found affidavit. So keeping it simple, you guys can read this for yourself, but I'm going to let you know an affidavit is just initially a letter that you are writing out, which is a statement of your truth and your facts. Once you get that letter notarized, now it has turned into an affidavit. Nothing more, nothing less, because a notary is actually a state officer that can testify in law because they've been deputized, okay? So don't ask me anymore. An affidavit is just a statement of your truth. Now, when you do go to the notary, a lot of times you have these options. You can swear or you can affirm. I don't swear to nothing. I'm not into swearing. However, I do affirm, and affirm is just an oath that is held up in court. Nothing more, nothing less, okay? So we know that we need to write a letter, and in the letter that we write, we're going to state some facts, okay? And that is just going to be to validate the alleged debt that they're saying we owe, okay? So we go ahead, we write out an affidavit. We're going to affirm to some facts, okay, which will be 15 USC 1692G, and we'll get in that in a second. Okay, so after we send the initial a validation letter, then we're going to do a letter to cure. A letter to cure, once again, is just in your own words. Do not make it difficult, okay? You are simply letting them know they need to go in and correct something, okay? You found some mistakes. You're giving them an opportunity to correct it, okay? You guys can read that for yourself. Don't have time for it. Okay, after we send the letter to cure, now we are going to put them in default, okay? And with default, it means you guys are not handling your business. You had an obligation and you didn't do what you were supposed to. So now I have damages and you need to correct this, fix this, or we're going to go to court and you're going to have to run me my money, okay? So now how do we validate a debt? Okay, so I do try to take you guys through so you can actually find the information and know how to search through it. So we're going to go to US Code. So we are in U.S. Code Title 15, okay? So consumer credit protection. So we would go down, of course, you're going to scroll, you're going to find Chapter 41, boom, you're going to hit that. I'm going to back out of it because, like I said, I try to make this easy, short, simple as possible. Okay, so we are in, okay, consumer credit protection. That's where we're at. So in here, when you look, as I said, consumer credit cost disclosure, that's truth in lending. You got restrictions on garnishment, credit repair organizations, credit reporting agencies. That's very important. We are going to use. Good morning, everybody. So, I could not finish this video yesterday, so I'm up this morning working, and I'm like, let me finish this video, okay? So we are going to go back to chapter 41, dealing with consumer credit protection, okay? So as I was stating, we're either dealing with truth in lending or the FDCPA, okay? Now, being that we're dealing with the consumer, credit reporting agencies or debt collectors or people like Lexington Law, we want to make sure that we're utilizing the correct code. So for me, for the credit reporting agencies, I would be using the 1681s. And for the debt collection practice, I would be using the 1692s. Okay. You guys can go through and read these and go in. This is where your truth in lending and your FDCPA is. Okay. Dealing with your consumer reports. So let me see. Okay, so we're going to go into the 15 USC 1692, right? We're in the debt collection practices. You guys can see. Like I said, hopefully you can read, and if you can't, you're going to go get somebody that can. You're going to go get help. Do not be afraid to ask for help if you do not understand or understand something. How do you expect to get where you need to be, okay? So we always want to go into the congressional findings and declarations. I'm not about to break that down. I have done that in previous videos. Catch up at the end of the day. And if you need to catch up, go back to my old videos to see how, I then maneuvered and broke this down. But that is going to let you know why they created these laws. They enacted these laws. Then you're going to make sure that you define specific words, okay? Because we don't have time for the wordplay, the games, the hoopla. Okay, now if you pay attention, you go through these dealing with debt collection. This is going to break down what they can do, what they cannot do. You'll have your definitions. You always want to define who you are and who they are. We don't need no misconceptions, okay? But our go-to is going to be 1692G. Like I said, go through and read through all of them. I'm not here for that. I'm just here to guidepost you guys. And also pay attention to your 1692K, because if they did any violations, you always want to know what your civil liabilities are. That's going to let you know how much money that you're entitled to for either damages or the violations that they have, pushed upon you. So yeah, go through this and read, okay? This is going to be how you validate, but let's just go. And we're going to check it out. Okay, 15 USC, code 1692G, validation of debt. Go through these. I'm not about to read it. I'm not about to break this down. Do not make this difficult, people. Copy and paste. We use their words against them. This is what they are supposed to do when a transaction has initially taken place. They have a certain amount of time to get these documents or these statements or whatever their obligation to you, in which they're not doing it at all. Okay, so that's where the problem runs in, and that's how we're going to start proving the different violations that they're doing. Okay, so once again, just go through this and go ahead and copy and paste. They have 5 requirements. You guys see them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, also understand, if you have what is it called? Um, Inquiry on your consumer report, that's a transaction right there. The only problem is you didn't get your money on the private side or the public side, but that information should not be on your consumer report unless you gave them the okay to. So and honestly, nobody has. 15 USC 1681. This is very important too. Credit reporting agencies, same thing. You guys are going to go through here and you're going to read. You're going to go to your congressional findings and your statement of purpose. That's going to let you know why they enacted these laws. From there, you're going to go find your definitions, and then you're going to go find your violations. If you guys go to 1681B, and just going through these period, a lot of good information for these consumer reporting agencies that they're not following that they should be doing. Okay. Once again, you're going to go through these and you're going to also, after you find your violations, you're going to go in 1681N and 1681O. Find your civil liabilities. That's going to let you know where your money is at, baby. Okay. And we need to know what we are entitled to. And we typically want to shoot for personal damages, because personal damages, you're going to get a lot more money than just a little $1,000 per violation. So that's why it is important that we build our case and we prove and show that they're out here not handling their business. Okay. Now, these are just the US codes. As I stated, we do have other guideposts. So I'm going to go take you guys to another guidepost. Let me see here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you guys something else. Okay, you see, I told you guys the TOPN, that is my go-to to find my code and to find my CFRs. Now, not saying it's because of me, because who am I? But since I have been really pushing this information, and especially showing that the TOPN, that's how you can find your code and you can find your law, your CFR that backs it up. This is an important one. And look at what they did. They actually took that information down, you guys. So you can still see the titles on here. The Fair Debt Collection Practice Act, that goes for the 15 USC 1692, and it has the ETSEQ. And your short title, C15 USC 1601. They took this information down, and it's unfortunate, but these people, they do not want us to know the truth. I have screenshots, that from my previous videos where I went into the TOPN and they give you your US code and they're going to give you your CFR, which is your law, to back it up. But they took that down, pricks. But anyways, so what I did was, like I said, I'm not going through all of them for you, but I'm about to show you guys how to maneuver through the CFR. So this is the CFR, okay, Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. If you guys paid attention, we're in the same thing, from our US code, okay? So you need to learn how to maneuver between the CFR and the US codes anyway. So banking and all that bull. So we're up in here. Like I said, we're going to go to the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. Okay, so we would go down to X, chapter X. And we are going to go to the Bureau of Consumers. So we are out here. And going through here, there's a lot of good information. So you have part 1006, which is your debt collection practice, which that's the one we're going in. But if you pay attention, you also have Equal Credit Opportunity Act. That's 1002. I'm not about to go through all these, but consumer leasing, doesn't that sound like the area where we was in with the truth in lending? Let me see. Privacy of consumer financial information, fair credit reporting. That's another good one. Truth and lending. Like I said, go through these and you're going to get familiar with them, because these are important things that we will be utilizing. Okay. And I'm going to go here. Okay, rules for the FDCPA debt collectors. Okay. So if you pay attention and look, Notice for validation of debt. Okay. Like I said, you guys are going to go through these. And if you pay attention, don't this look like it would be the 15 USC 1692s? Let's just take a look. A comparison. Okay. Now you guys see validation of the debt, the harassment, abusement, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you're going to find you always want to have your US code as well with your CFR to back it up, okay? Like I said, sometimes the verbiage can get a little bit tricky. It can get a little bit different. And that's the main reason that I did prefer to go to the TOPN. Okay, so now that we then built our case, we're starting to build our case because we had went ahead, like I said, in due process, you must first validate any and all debts. I don't care what these people say. You should be validating the debt, right? After you validate that debt, and that's just dealing with the customer service first, you validate that debt. Boom, they're not going to give you the documents, the validation that you request. They'll send you some BS, and that's not validating. Okay. After you validate, letter to cure. That means correct the mistake that I have found that you have made. You have obligations, these companies, to give full disclosure, certain documents, things, they're not doing their jobs properly. They either A, do not know how to properly do their job, or B, they are committing crimes and they know what they're doing. We try to give them the benefit of the doubt, but we don't do no in between. It's either or. You either don't know your job or you do know your job, but you're doing a little extra, okay? So after, our letter of cure, we put them in default. You did not handle your obligation. You did not, follow proper procedure. You have 72 hours to correct this. After this, I will be taking legal action. So we put them in default. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. So now it's time to go ahead and they need to run us our money. So when you're typically dealing with these companies, as I say, you're either going to first have to go through arbitration, because a lot of these companies have arbitration clause, which arbitration is private, so you don't go to court. You guys know how I feel about arbitration. These companies are not for the people. They are for the companies. We want everything on record. So you're going to have to go through arbitration or either small claims court first. Once you attempt those and you don't find, your resolution, then you can go ahead and litigate. So we're going to say you went through the arbitration and you had already went through small claims. You did not receive, what you were looking for. So now it's time to go ahead and let's put this case together, because we're going to take it to bigger courts. All right. So what you are going to need, and like I say, my go-to is government websites. So I had went to this website. Okay, you guys should already know this, but I wanted just to do a little recap. As I stated, I go to government websites to get my information. So U.S. state courts, okay, because we are at this point, we're in district or we're going to federal court, period, point blank. Now, I'm not about to run through this with you guys, because in my other two videos that I dropped as my little guidepost, I went ahead and I showed you, and I also showed you how to find your district and go to your district. So that part is on you guys. Okay, so what is very important is when you are building your case, you need to find your local rules and your federal rules or whatever. Make sure, depending on what you're doing, find your rules, because you want to make sure that you follow every rule, especially if you are doing this by yourself. If you have an attorney, you still want to know what they're doing, but you need to know your rules. So Title III civil, rules, we would go into those. Is this the same thing? Hold on, you guys. Hold on. I was trying to organize everything. Okay. So court rules right here. So I would go through these and I would just hit everyone, because actually on the website it has, they're linked, but I would go through, hit, read everything, blah, blah, blah. So I have a full understanding. Okay. And it also lets you know if you see the filing and service, filing, payment, fees. I mean, it goes through and it's going to break all of that down so you kind of know what to expect. Okay. So after you find your rules, now let's go ahead and put our case together. Okay, because it's gonna let you know what all you need when you find them rules, and it's gonna break it down how to do. Okay, I wanted just to show you guys this. Instructions, writing, and filing a civil complaint. You can go in, and when you're downloading the forms, you'll be able to download the instructions. Download the instructions, you guys. You're going to have to read through this, because the instructions is going to let you know what you need to properly get your case started and to serve these people. Complaint, civil cover sheet, summons with the proof of service, and application to proceed informal. Can't say that shit right now. It's too early in the morning. My mouth isn't working like that. That's a fee waiver. Keeping it easy. That's what I'm saying. One thing about law, I do know how to speak some Latin and understand Latin, because we use Latin, which is a dead language. It cannot be changed, nor manipulated. But, we get into words like that. Easy, simple, that's just a fee waiver, okay? But you guys want to download this. Like I said, you want to get your local rules. It lets you know filing and serving your documents, how and what you need to do. So do not ask me, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? These people give you guys instructions. If you are missing something, they cannot tell you how to fill out the forms, but they can tell you what forms you need. So how I learned is I didn't even really look at rules and all that. I just kind of dove in when I was doing my civil cases. And so if I was missing a document, or was missing information, they would send me a cover sheet and say, oh, you're missing this or you're missing that, and then you can correct it. So it's no excuse, okay? They'll help you. They just cannot tell you. They can tell you what forms, but they cannot tell you how to fill out your documents, because they're not your legal counsel. All right. But then this just kind of breaks down, how things get started. Case begins when the complaint is filed. Complaint, summons, and other documents served to the defendant. Defendant responds to the complaint. File conference statements, attend conference with judge, set case schedule, blase, blase, okay? But it goes through and it tells you guys, okay? So download, you have to read. And that's one of the main reason I did a lot of my videos I did without the voiceover, because it's a lot of reading you must do. You must learn how to read fine print, or you're going to get effed off. Okay, so we're going to look at the cover sheet. Okay, so this is going to be your cover sheet, okay, when we are in district or headed to federal court. Now, with this right here, and you guys got to excuse me because I'm working off my phone. Okay, the plaintiff, as I stated, the plaintiff is always the creditor, okay? And the defendant, that is always going to be the debtor. All right. So filling this out, I'm not about to fill this out for you guys, but I'm just going to give you a run through. Because like I said, I'm not here to do the work for you. You guys need to read, apply, execute just like me, because that's what I do. Okay. So basics of jurisdiction. It's going to either be U.S. government plaintiff, U.S. government defendant, federal question, or diversity, okay? Federal question, that is where we're going to go into using the Constitution, U.S. Code, CFRs, treaties. Okay, those are your federal questions. Your diversity is typically you're in a different state than the people that you're suing, the company that you're suing. The company is typically incorporated in a different state, as well as wherever their headquarters is, that is the state that they belong to. Okay, they are citizens of those states where they are incorporated at, and also where their headquarters is. So what I had to do was, like I tell everybody else, I had to go and look up those definitions to get a full understanding of it, because I wasn't really sure, Here, boom, federal question. You guys read it on your own terms. Don't have time, but you see where I had got the information from. Law Cornell Wex. Oops, no, that's not the one. Same thing. Diversity of citizenship. If you're not fully sure, look it up to get a better understanding. There's nothing wrong with going in and looking for information, because that's what you're gonna have to do. Okay, so back to the cover sheet. So that's how you will figure out federal question or diversity. If it's diversity, that means you're dealing with other states. If it's a federal question, that means that you're using U.S. code and all that good stuff. Citizenship and principle. Okay, citizen of this state. I would be a citizen of this state in my district court. Boom. So I would go in and I would mark that. The PTF. That's for the plaintiff. DEF is for, the defendant. Then I also know for the defendant, so you mark one for the plaintiff. For the defendant, then you would go, you know what? Matter of fact, hold on. We're going to do a run through. Give me a second. This is what I'm going to do. About to make it worth your guys' while. So I'm just going to do a run through, okay? So you guys can kind of understand, how I feel this out and what you do. So we are going to say that I am going after the Consumer Reporting Agency, since we are talking about credit, okay? So I, the plaintiff, which is the creditor. So I'm going to put my last name, and then my first name, okay? And the defendant, let me go back over here. Okay, county of residence. The reason they're asking that, because this is going to be all about jurisdiction. They want to make sure that you are in the correct venue and that they have jurisdiction over you, okay? So mine would be Alameda, because that's where I am from, Alameda County. Okay, so the defendant we are going to say is Experian, which is the entity. And me, I would personally also go after the CEO of the company, because I put the CEOs on notice and they know what is going on. And Experian is an entity. It's not an individual. Me, I need an individual I can go after as well. So we're just going to say they're in the county of Fairfax, okay? So boom. If you know their attorney's information, you can put that. Typically you won't know the attorney's information unless you're having dealings with them. Then you can put that, but you can leave that blank. Same thing. If you have an attorney, you can put your attorney's information. If you don't have an attorney, then what I typically do is this is something that people do use, pro se. I don't use pro se. Motherfucker, I wanted it like this. Me personally, I use sue juris or in propria persona. That's me personally, how I move in court. So you guys need to look these up to get a better understanding. Like I said, I'm not here for to give you guys all that, but that's how I roll when I go to these courts. Okay, basis of jurisdiction. So U.S. government plaintiff, U.S. government defendant, federal question, or diversity. A federal question, that is when you are going to be utilizing, statutes, codes, treaties, constitutions, CFRs, okay? Diversity, that is when the parties, they're in two separate, states. So the jurisdiction would be a little bit different. You want to make sure that, each person is getting a fair trial. So it is a diversity case, being that, I'm from California, from Alameda County, Experian, they are incorporated in another state and their headquarters is in another state. So that's what makes it diversity, okay? And as I stated, you guys go ahead and look up and find the definitions, because I'm not going through that, but you want to know the definitions, okay? So, citizen and principal party, once again, this is all about jurisdiction, making sure that you're in the proper venue so they can, do things correctly. I am a citizen of this state. So the PTF, that is going to be for the plaintiff, and the DEF, that is for the defendant. Okay. Go through these and read these. I'm the citizen of this state. So you mark one for yourself, and you're also going to need to mark the other one for the defendant. So the defendants, they are incorporated and their principal place of business is in another state. So boom, I would mark, 5 for the DEF. So they know that this is a diversity case. Okay, now the nature of your suit: contracts, real property, civil rights, torts, prisoner petitions, labor, immigration, blah, 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 blah. Being that we're dealing with the consumer report, okay? So people, they get confused, and the confusion comes in because they're like, okay, do we use truth in lending, or do we go ahead and which truth in lending is, you see torch truth in lending right here. So a person, okay, do I use truth in lending? Truth in lending, homes, cars, dealing with credit cards, that's your truth in lending, okay? When you're dealing with your consumer report, you would want to go to over here, consumer credit, 15 USC 1681 or 1692. So that's what you would hit right there. Now, this is the thing. If you guys are unsure on where you're going to go to, you can hit nature and suit code description up here. Once you hit that, it is going to take you, so you can see a breakdown. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it's going to give you a breakdown. So what you would do. Okay, so here you go. Civil nature and suit code description, right? If you're not sure, go ahead and download this. Like I said, you would hit the link and it would take you to where you could download the PDF, and go ahead and scroll through and read these, okay? So you can make sure that you're hitting the correct one, because like I said, you don't want to go into these venues, these courts or whatever, and your case gets thrown out and you have to start all over again because you didn't state the correct claim. So like I said, when it comes to truth in lending, go ahead and read it. I'm not here for you to read all this, but if you see, as I state, including automobile loans and revolving credit accounts, okay? So that's when you know you're dealing with truth in lending. But when you're dealing with the consumer agencies like Experian and Equifax, TransUnion, all of them different ones, because those are just the main ones that a lot of people know, but there's other ones that's actually out there, okay? 480, as I stated, consumer credit, actions filed under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, 15 USC 1680 N, or blah, blah, blah. Go through, read them, okay? So now that we have an understanding about that, so then you would come down here. Okay, so the origin, if you've never filed a case, which typically we're just going to keep this simple. This is your first case that you're filing, original proceedings, nothing more, nothing less. Go through, you can read through these to get a better understanding, but this is the initial case that we are filing, that we're going through, okay? So your cause of action. So with your cause of action, like I say, you are going to typically, you're going to cite, what they then did. So, okay, so yeah, your cause of action, that's going to be your CFR, your codes and all that. So, for example, 15 USC 1692, 15 USC 1681. Okay, now brief description, violation under FDCPA or whatever. It could also be depending, it could be breach of contract, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, we're just keeping it short, sweet, and simple. This is just a dummy run through, okay? Requested in complaint, check this class action. Me personally, okay, that's why, as I stated, it is important for you to go ahead and know the liabilities behind. So you want to know your liabilities, like dealing with the credit reporting agencies. You are either, it's $1,000 per violation, or that or is going to be personal damages. You really want that or. Me personally, I like to leave this blank. That's just me personally. When I was doing my civil cases, I would leave it blank because at the end of the day, I really want the max. And if I could show proof to the courts or whatever, my evidence, then they can determine, what I can get. Because my thing is, I don't want to cheat myself. Okay, jury demand, I would put yes, me personally, because that kind of puts the fear in people to let them know we're not playing no games. We're not here to F around. We're going to take it to the farthest extent that we have to. Okay. Now, you don't have to worry about, the other stuff. That's for the judge and all of that. Like I said, if it's something that you're missing, these people will tell you. Signature of attorney on record, you would actually go ahead and sign and date there. If you do have an attorney, of course they would do it, but I don't have one. And then just here goes the instructions for the attorney completing or you, okay? That easy, that simple to fill this out. Nothing more, nothing less, okay? Now, after you do your cover sheet, then you are going to also need your complaint. And I'm not going through this. You guys are going to have to learn, and do what I do. But it's pretty self-explanatory. Plaintiff, your defendants, complaint for the civil case. So you're going to put your information. You'll put their information. Basis for jurisdiction. Once again, it's asking you federal question or diversity of citizenship. You'll figure out what are you doing, which one is it. We already know it's diversity of citizenship, so I would come in and I would fill out the information, blah, blah, blah. State of claim. Okay, at the end of the day, when you are stating your claim, you want to keep it short and sweet. You want to go ahead and you want to let them know what occurred. Blase, with Experian, I wrote them. They didn't follow procedure on this day. They violated this. I spoke with blah, blah, blah. short and sweet to the point, okay? Do not throw shade and salt. Do not bring up any arguments or anything like that. You just want to give them a short statement, because same thing, these courts, people do not like to read. Keep it short and sweet. You know, you want to state why you have a claim. You want to state the time, the date, the people that you spoke with, okay? Nothing more, nothing less. Then your relief. What is it that your heart desires? Do you want monetary? Do you want an injunction? Whatever it is that you want for your relief, you know, you're going to go ahead and put that in there, okay? And then you don't really have to worry about this because you're not an attorney, unless, you know, for parties without an attorney, you know, you'll fill that out for attorneys, blah, blah, blah. But that's how you go in and you have to do that, okay? So then after that, you want to go ahead and you're going to need a summons, okay? So your summons is just you're going to fill out the plaintiff, the defendant, you know, and this information. And it's not a lot of information. And boom, like I said, you guys can run through that, do what you have to do. Now, once you have that, you also want a fee waiver, okay? Now, there's two different type of fee waivers. You can do the short form or you can do the long form. This is the short form, excuse me. So I'm indigent personally. I don't have 400 and something dollars, because the reason you want to do your rules, because you want to know how much your filing fee is, okay? I don't have 400 and something dollars to put in these cases. I got 6 different cases I'm about to put all in at once. They all attacked me at once, and I'm about to put all my cases in at once, okay? So I'm indigent. I'm broke. So therefore, I would fill this form out, okay? Now, once you fill out this form and they accept it, you do not have to pay for that case, okay? They're going to go ahead and pay for the case, and they are going to now have the marshals, the sheriff, depending on which state or whatever, they're going to serve these people for you, okay? So you sit back and you don't have a worry in the world, okay? You let them go serve these damn people that then violated you. Now, from what I've always understood, and it's totally up to however people are taught or which you're comfortable doing, but this is the fee waiver as well. This is the long form. Okay, so you would fill this out, and yeah, it's tedious. It's a lot of information, but the thing is, if they deny you, you have to pay that 400 something dollars for your case, and you're also going to be responsible for hiring a process server, serving people through the mail, marshals, whatever. And we don't have money like that, okay? Because these people, they're taking our money, so we're indigent. So you can fill this out. I was always taught to fill out the long form instead of the short form, okay? But do whatever you feel is necessary for you. But those are your fee waivers that you're going to need, you know, for your case. All right. And so once you have all that information, you know, you have everything filled out. So yeah, now you ready, you know, you have your case and everything. You take it to the courts, get everything stamped, document, and then boom. So we already have, you know, our civil cover sheet. We filled that out. We have our complaint, our summons, and we have our fee waiver. So there we go. We have everything that we need from right there, right? And so from there, you know, filing and serving documents, make 2 copies, in which when I actually learned, they had me make 3 copies, because I used to make a copy for myself, a copy for the judge, and then a copy for a defendant. But one thing that I did learn, you know, was, yeah, make your 2 copies, because you're going to make a copy for, you know, the defendant and for the judge, and they're going to make you a copy, and they'll give you a copy whether you send these documents in or you take them down to the courts yourself and let them get stamped and all of that good stuff, okay? But you now have your case, and so you're going to sit, and it's just a waiting period. It's a waiting period. but you at least, you now know the expectations, everything. If you Another thing that you want to do, let's say you move or something like that, make sure you do change of addresses and all that good stuff, so they'll be able to send you your documents on time, because everything is case sensitive, it's time sensitive, okay? And you want to stay on top. But you already know the expectations, you have everything that you was supposed to do, and yeah, that's basically, for real, is all you're doing. That is really all you are doing, you guys. You're sitting there, you're writing up your affidavits, you're affirming, you do a letter to cure, default, and then you go in, you already know your violations, how they violate you, and you put your case together like that. Nothing more, nothing less. And you sit back and you hold these people accountable so you can get your damn money. Because we don't got time to play with these people. You heard me? So yeah, I was trying to make this as short, as sweet as possible, just to give you guys some game on how to actually, start your cases and get things rolling. And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm about to go edit these. So, because I had to do 3 different ones because I kept getting phone calls and all of this stuff. But I hope this helped. This is the process that I'm doing right now. Like I said, this was just for the consumer. If you're going after, Experian, TransUnion, any of those places, you're going to have to go through district courts. And this is how you would go ahead and get everything started, get everything rocking. So I hope this helped you guys. And like I said, I'm going to do more videos to really break these things down, but these are just run throughs, imperfections. I'm not perfect, but this is what I do. This is what I know of. Like I said, it's not my word. I take you guys to the sources, which are government websites and law. Nothing more, nothing less. So I'm just going to do a real